Good day, folks. This is video number 22 for the playlist devoted to the 3D Experience CATIA generative shape design. Of course, at this point, I have two playlists. One of them is devoted to wireframe tab, and the other one is earmarked for surface tab. And this particular video is going to go into the surface tab playlist. We would like to discuss the icon which is called sweep, and it's one of the more complicated surface functionalities or icons because it's got so many options and sub options that it's impossible to go through all of them, particularly because some of it is not well documented and one has to get it by basically trial and error. Uh, now, uh, when you go to the generative shape design in 3D CATIA, the 3D Experience CATIA, at the bottom of the screen has this ribbon, and if you select the Surface tab, you can find the sweep option there. Uh, as I said, it's one of the more advanced options, and clicking on this sweep icon, you see that this dialog box opens up, and there is some help there, but it's not very uh, user friendly. Let me put it that way. Now notice that in the sweep surface definition, there are four window options up here. It says profile type, explicit, and then the other three. And this particular video deals with the explicit profile type, and that's a fancy way of saying that you sketch something and it's going to be that thing that's going to be swept. That's all it is. And then within that selection, there are three subtype options. And at this point, we're going to do with reference surface. And then the other two options are with two guide curves and with the pulling direction, which is going to come in future videos. Altogether, there's 21 possibilities, and I'm going to try to do at least one video for each one of these cases. Now, the particular problem that I'm going to try is this. I will have a surface here, and I have a profile that I drew. That's why it's called explicit, this profile. Very simple. It's an inverted L. And I have a three-dimensional spline that is given by these points. The only reason I did a three-dimensional spline is because I didn't want it to give you the impression that uh, this thing has to be a sketch. It doesn't have to be a two-dimensional curve. It's a three-dimensional curve. And because some of you may want to do this thing together with me, I have given the coordinates of the four corners of the surface. This is not the plane, by the way. This is not a flat surface. It's planar because this one says 100 minus 50, so it goes down, and a surface is put on it. And the coordinates of these 4 points of the splines are given by these numbers. And clearly, it's not it doesn't all lie in the same plane, and therefore it's a three-dimensional curve. And the dimensions of the profile is 40 this way, 60 up. Okay, so we're going to do this, and of course, I will also, once I create this surface and then I create this spline, what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate the spline to that location. So it's going to be a second curve that I'm going to be experimenting with, and then I project these things on that plane, and we're going to use all of them. Okay. You will see that what you sometimes expect is not what you get. In fact, it is going to be hard, relatively hard, to predict the behavior of the surface based on just common sense or an intelligent guess, because it doesn't always follow that routine. Okay. All right. some of the some of the aspects of this video for CATIA V5 can be found in this link. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. First thing I'm going to do is to create my 4 points, as I mentioned, because I want to draw that surface. I go to wireframe, double click on point, and create 4 points. So these are minus 100 for X, minus 100 for Y, and 0 for Z. That's the first point. Then I'm going to do the same thing, except that this is not, X is not minus 100, it's 100. And then I'm going to do 100, 100, and minus 50 to make it a surface actually. So this is 100, 100, and minus 50. This is to make it go below the horizon. Okay. And finally, minus 100 for X, 100 for Y, and 0 for Z. We say okay and cancel. So basically we have 4 points here, these 4 points, and these 4 points do not lie on the same plane. Therefore, we're gonna, when I put a surface on it, I go to the surface tab, and there is a fill, F-I-L-L option, surface tab, let's find it, F-I-L-L. Oh, I forgot to put my lines here, sorry. I go back to the wireframe, create my 4 lines. So I go from this point to that point, that's the first line. Okay. Then another one from this point to this point, and from here, cancel that, from here to here, and finally from here. The order of the pick is not important. In fact, I'm having a hard time because of my screen resolution to pick it off the screen. You can always go and pick it from the tree. So that'll be third point and first point. Yeah. Oh, sorry, did I say third point? Fourth point. Fourth point and the first point. Good. Excellent. And now we're going to go, it is a closed boundary. So we go to surface, go to FILL, and I select these 4 lines. You can do it from the tree or you can do it from the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, and okay. So you can see that this is actually a surface. You can see that. Very good. Now let's go ahead and create those other 4 points for our splines. So we go to wireframe, again 4 points. And the coordinates of those 4 points are 40, 0, 100. 40, 0, and 100. Yep. Another one, 40, 20, and 100. Okay. Another one is 40, 50, and 100. Definitely, these are not going to lie on the same plane, all 4 of them. And finally, 60, 100, and 120. So this first one is 64, 60 for X, 100 for Y, and 120 for Z. Okay, good. So these are the ones. Let's create a spline here, spline, three-dimensional spline. I start from that first point, go to the second point, third point, and the fourth point. Okay, you can see that this does not lie in the same plane. They do not lie in the same plane because of that slight shift that I have in coordinates on number 3. Okay, good, good. Now we're going to create our profile. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I create a point at location 0, 0, 100, 0, 0, 100. Okay, good. And then on the vertical plane, I will sketch my profile that starts at this location and goes up. We'll clean it up in a minute. Okay, first of all, I want to make sure that this is coincident with that. Okay, make it coincident. Let me see for a second. Actually, the easier way of doing it is just dimension this to that to be 100. That'll make it automatically this point to that line, axis. 100, that brings it down and put it exactly at that point. All right, I really don't need this point, but that's okay. Let me dimension this. This one is, I believe, 60. I want it to be 60, and this other one to be 40. The horizontal one to be 40. Okay, exit. Very good. So we have created a model that looks pretty much like that. Now I want to do some other curves, and you're going to see why I need some other curves, because I'll try different. Okay. Yeah. So first thing I'm going to do is to get a translated version of this spline to that location. So let me go to transform or translate. This is what I'm going to do. And let me see if I can find translate somewhere here. Let's see. Okay, translate. Read this thing carefully, what it says. We want to do it from point to point. We want this spline, and I want it to go from start point is this location. That would be point, that point, and to this point. Okay, good. Just be careful because when you pick it, uh, don't take point one. Could be that, sorry, yeah, that was correct actually. It was 0.5, right? Right there, right there. Very good. Okay, and I also want to project these. I want to project these onto that surface, okay? So let's see, where's the project? We go to also transform. Here's the projection. I'm going to project it. The direction doesn't matter. We can make it normal or we can make it in the directions. It really doesn't matter. I'll make it normal. So this spline on that surface, let me say, okay, notice that's projected there. I did the normal, it really doesn't matter. And another one of this fellow on that, there we are. So we have two uh, two curves, which are the projections of those splines, the original spline and the translated version of it on that plane. Let me hide these planes. I don't need them. Okay. And this sketch I don't need either. Okay, very good. Now, so let's go ahead. These points, incidentally, I don't need. I'm going to hide all my points. I'm going to hide all my lines, and these points also, I'm going to hide them. Okay, and this other point over there, there's one more point, this point that I want to hide. All right, good, good. So we're going to go to surfaces. We're going to go to surfaces, and let's find the sweep. There's the sweep. Notice that we're doing the profile type is explicit, and we're going to use with reference surface. With reference surface, and for that subtype, you really have to select two things: the profile and the guide curve. So profile, I select my inverted L, the one that I drew. Excuse me. And for guide curve, the first thing I'm going to do is select the original spline, not the translated version of it, right there. You see this? There. Now, before I go any further, this is what I refer to as mandatory selections. These things are optional selections, and we will discuss it in detail. Detail meaning different examples later on. Right now, we are looking for mandatory selection. Okay? And then preview. This is what happened. So remember, the profile was this inverted L. The guide curve was this spline here. Okay? And notice that what happened, it uh, it created that surface. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is do another one. Let me hide this. This is the one that I just made. Then I'm going to do sweep of this curve, again, the profile. And this time for the guide curve, I select the translated spline. See that? Right there. This is the translated version of this. And preview. Okay. So notice that now the surface, actually one edge of it is that uh, spline that I translated. It was not the case. It was not the case when I use this as the guide curve. Okay, let's do another one. Let me hide this. But before I do that, I want to go back to the first one that I selected, that I created. Notice that if I double click on it, I did not select the surface. It did it by itself. It selected, because I did not select the surface, it took something by default, which is called mean plane. And it worked fine. But it's not the surface that I selected. Cancel. That's fine. Let me hide it. Let's proceed. Okay. Now we're going to go and use these projections. So we go to a sweep, select this profile, and for guide curve, I use the thing that's down here, right there. That's the projection of the first spline. Notice that again, the mean plane was selected. I did not do this. And by the same token, the spine was selected, which is exactly that. Okay. Which is exactly the guide curve. Okay, that's what it was. And so, okay, there. You see, this is what it gave me. When I took that inverted L, and for its guide curve, I choose the projection of that on that surface. It gave me this subsurface, except that I did not even bother selecting the surface itself, a surface. It automatically selected the default mean plane, whatever that thing means. Okay, let's go ahead. Let me hide this. All right. do another one. Sweep, again, that profile. And for guide curve is the projection of that in translated spline. And I get another one. Now, these are not the same as, this is not the same as the previous one. If I say hide and show, you can see that they're different animals. You can see that. Now, let me hide both of them. One more time. Sweep the profile. Okay. Now I'm going to select for the guide curve this, which is fine, it worked, but for the surface, instead of default mean plane that it was picked by the program, I'm going to choose, for example, something else, XY plane, and then preview. Give me something, no problem. Let me select, instead of XY plane, YZ plane. Give me something. Instead of YZ plane, XZ plane. Man, it's hard to predict what's happening here. Now, one more thing. Instead of, let me say, okay, let me do another one. Let me do another one. Sweet. Okay. So, here's the profile. Okay. Here is that the projection of the first spline. And for the surface, instead of the mean plane, and these other things that I tried them, I'm going to select the surface itself. This surface that I created, this surface that this spline was projected on. And of course, I'm going to get a different surface. You can see that. Let me try another one. Sweep that. Okay. And the original spline, and for the surface, I select the surface that I created down here. Okay. I get an error message. And in fact, if you read it, it looks like it's saying that the body to operate is not on the input skin body. Probably this is the input skin body. It says that this spline that you're taking is not on there. It took the projection because it's on there, but it doesn't take this. Okay, say okay. Cancel. Let's try a different one. Sweep that curve. This time, the projected, see that? Not the projected, the translated spline. And for the surface, I select this. I'm pretty sure we're going to get the same message. What I wanted to point out to you is that in cases that are, I don't want to say obvious, but intuitively it makes sense, you may be able to predict how the surface is going to look like. But there may be a situation that you select stuff and it doesn't work. Anyway, so we're going to go, notice that we have not done anything about this portion, optional selections. And in the next video, again, I'm going to take a simple situation, but at the same time, I will try to fool around with stuff down here to show you what's going on. This is not easy to predict. Good luck.